I'm Ryan Chernachan, your friend in real estate, and a realtor with RE/MAX here in Richmond, British Columbia, Canada. Today's video is all about finding commercial space for your business. Stick with me. That is good. If you haven't seen my videos before, generally what I do as a realtor in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver is I like to talk about things that I've been involved with recently. I use those experiences to create these videos and hopefully help you with your real estate needs. So, since the beginning of 2018, residential real estate in the Lower Mainland of Vancouver has really quieted down, especially detached houses. The sales and the activity have slowed right down. One part of real estate in the Lower Mainland that hasn't slowed down at all, and in fact has actually gotten busier, is commercial real estate. Now, I do both. I do residential real estate and I do commercial real estate. And lately, I have been helping clients specifically find warehouse space for their business. Now, in this video, there's going to be so much that we have to cover. I'm not going to go over all of it. It would take hours. And to be honest, commercial real estate is extremely complicated and complex, far more, in my opinion, than residential real estate. So for now, this video is going to be a very brief but hopefully detailed introduction to what you would need to think about if you would ever consider leasing commercial space for your business. Now, when trying to find commercial real estate, really there's sort of three ways to do it. Number one is searching the MLS, just like you would with a residential property. Number two is using a public site. And there's many out there, but two of the most popular are Spacelist and LoopNet. Those have their pros and cons. Now, the biggest issue I've got with public sites, and it's the same for residential real estate, even more specifically with commercial real estate, is those sites are very delayed in the info they get. And with commercial real estate sites, they actually don't get updated at all because the listings are put in manually by the realtor or the landlord trying to find a tenant for their space. So if the space gets taken, unless that person goes back onto Spacelist or LoopNet and takes their listing down, their listing will remain up. So that's one issue, is the spaces you're going to come across online most likely will be long gone. Therefore, the MLS is still your best online solution. Now, having said that, very few, I'm going to say, if I had to put a percentage, I would say 50% of commercial listings actually make it onto the MLS, and the other 50% don't. And there's a number of reasons for that. Namely, it's because there's many solely commercial real estate companies out there that only deal with commercial real estate, and they like to work amongst themselves rather than put the listings out there for the general public to see. That is the nature of commercial real estate. You're just not going to see all there is on the MLS. So I'm helping a client find a warehouse space to put their construction business into. Now, to give you an idea of what we've ran into, and this goes a long way into thinking about what it is you would need for your business, whatever that may be, is we went and saw a warehouse out in Annacis Island. And when we got there, the client realized that he had to have the loading door at the back of the building to be at least 10 feet wide, because the pallets that he pulls off of his delivery trucks are 10 feet wide. And the overhead door in this case was only 8 feet wide. So to be honest, that was a deal breaker. There's just no way around it. And that leads into some very intricate details that you really need to go over when searching for a property. What does your business need? And with commercial real estate, the list can go on for miles. Ceiling height. Does the business need X amount of parking? What about floor drains? How about the power supply? It goes on and on. There's all sorts, and this is just speaking to a business that would probably take over a warehouse. Now there's office space, there's retail space, there's industrial, which would include warehouses. There's all sorts of subcategories of commercial real estate. So determining what those aspects are that your business must have will go a long way into weeding out and narrowing down any potential properties. So I'm pretty confident that eventually we're going to find him the warehouse that he needs. When we do, there's going to be some things that we're going to have to go over, namely the offer and what it is the landlord is looking for. And a great example of this is what type of lease is the landlord asking for. And there's different versions of leases, but I'm just going to cover the most common types, which is specifically two, and that is what's called a gross lease, and there's something called a triple net lease. And this always confuses people when they first start trying to find a commercial space, and this goes for retail, goes for office space, goes for warehouse. A gross lease is basically one payment per month that you as the tenant are going to make to the landlord, and that's going to cover all of the costs to the landlord at the end of the year. So in other words, the landlord takes care of everything to do with the space. You as the tenant just take possession, inhabit it, and you pay the landlord that sum of money each month. That's it. Now the most common type of lease is something called the triple net lease. Now this is very important because when you go into the realm of finding commercial space, you will see triple net lease everywhere. Okay, that's the most common. Triple net lease is made up of two amounts of money. One is the base rent. That is the monthly rent that you're going to pay each month. The second cost is what's called additional rent, or the op costs. And that rent is always made up of three things specifically. The first is the property taxes. The second is the insurance. And the third is the maintenance, or what's called the CAM, Common Area Maintenance. In other words, the landlord is asking you as the tenant to pay your portion of the space's property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. So in other words, the landlord is transferring that cost from themselves onto you, the tenant. That means that at the end of the year, if those costs happen to have changed, you may owe the landlord a little extra money. Landlord may owe you a little extra money depending on if those costs have gone up or down. Now, how do you determine those costs if costs are always changing? Well, you simply do it based on the year previous, and it's just an estimate. So it's a change at the end of each year. That's generally how a triple net lease works. And this is all going to be outlined within the lease agreement when you finally get to that stage. But once you've found a place, you've determined what it is you need for your business, and you're happy with whether it's a gross lease or a triple net lease, and you're happy with those costs, you still have to make your offer. Now, making an offer on commercial real estate is actually very similar to making an offer to purchase residential real estate. It's essentially very similar components. It's going to have things like the dates that you want to take possession, detail in terms of the deposit you're going to give, the subject clauses that you may wish to have, such as an inspection of the property, or maybe you want to review the zoning bylaws of the building to make sure your business is actually legally allowed to be there as per the city bylaws. There's all sorts of things that you may want to do before you agree to signing any type of lease. If the landlord agrees to your initial offer, the landlord then will send you their lease agreement, and you and I will go over that lease agreement, and within that lease agreement, it will, at least it should, detail all the aspects of being a tenant and being a landlord for that space. That is the binding document. When you sign the lease agreement, you're now the tenant. So keep that in mind. There's an offer to lease, and then there's the lease agreement itself. But I think this is a really good brief intro in the steps and the processes that you may need to take if you're trying to find a space for your business. And if this video has helped you in any way, check out my other videos. There's plenty on my YouTube channel or on my business Facebook page about residential real estate, and far more to come with commercial real estate. If you found this video to be helpful, I would love it if you gave it a like or shared it, or better yet, follow me on YouTube or on my Facebook page. I put these videos out as consistently as I can, and there's gonna be so many good videos upcoming. So stick with me, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.